And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink Podcast. My name is Brenden D. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It is time for weekend wagers. We've been doing this for 5 years now. This is our 5th year, breaking down every single game for every single week of the season. And I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Eric Warner. He returns to help me do that. Warren Z, how you doing?
Good, man. This is my favorite time of the year. We got a fresh slate of games, and there's nothing that looks finer than a week 1 NFL card. Now, it's hard not to go crazy and just go nuts week 1, right? But you got to remember, we don't have any data points yet. You can go off last year, but that's kind of old news. There's a lot of teams changing schemes, changing a lot. So don't go crazy week 1, even though it's incredibly difficult to do so. And I'm telling people not to go crazy, even though I might be myself.
They're going to go crazy.
Yeah.
I already did for the Thursday night game, so it's a
Yeah.
little too late for me. Okay, so here's how this year's version is going to work. So we're going to talk about every single game. And every single game, Eric and I are going to give a spread pick for. Every single one. On top of that, we each have 3 locks per week. So picks we're banging the table for. Those 3 picks that we like, those locks, those bang the table picks, can be a spread, a total, a prop, anything at all. So when you come out of this, when you finish listening to this, you're going to have a spread pick for each game and 6 picks that we are banging the table for. Eric, do we put a little wager on this for the season? We've done it the last 5 years, or 4 years, sorry. I think we got to.
Yeah, we have to. We have to do something, whether it be financial penalty or just...
Or you run that lemonade stand that you didn't do for your fantasy loss.
Yeah, so you look pretty comfortable face deep in those wings and pizza last night. So.
Oh, I did. That ended up working. We'll figure. Why don't we come back with week 2 with our punishment? We'll let the listeners know what the bet is. Okay, so let's start it off. Week 1, and we're gonna go to the Friday night game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Philadelphia Eagles played the Green Bay Packers. It is considered a home game for the Eagles. They are 2.5 point favorites over the Packers. Warren Z, what are you looking at with this one?
Alrighty, with this game, I'm kind of looking at both defenses. Now, both defenses are going to completely new schemes, new defensive coordinators. The Packers are going from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and in Philadelphia's case, we have Vic Fangio coming in. Looking at Vic Fangio's history, he tends to struggle early. He has a very, very complex scheme, and it takes time for his defenses to acclimate to that scheme. If you look last year, it wasn't really until about week 10 when Miami's defense got humming and fully acclimated, and that's when you started seeing the numbers you expect from a Vic Fangio's defense. Now, I know you Philly fans are very patient, very calm group up there in Philly.
We are a patient bunch.
And I have a feeling that it's going to start slow again. So I like this Green Bay offense to put up points in this game. I know traditionally we kind of start with one team's offense and move to the other team's offense. So if it's okay with you, let's start with Green Bay. And how in the world is Philly going to stop this Green Bay offense? Because I see green lights for all across the board for Green Bay.
Yeah, this is if for a new defensive scheme, a complicated scheme, this is the last offense you want to kind of see in the league almost. There's a ton of guys to watch out for. Like, the thing about the Packers is they finish first in the league back-to-back years of throwing to other receivers, quote-unquote. So they don't have just 1 or 2 guys. They spread it around. With a lot of crossing routes, a lot of motion. The Packers were first in the NFL in motion rate the last 9 weeks of the season last year. So it's something they also like to do there. I'm with you. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game on both sides. I think the Packers offense runs it up. I think the Eagles offense as well also has kind of a green light. There's another, like, we're talking the Eagles have a new scheme. The Packers are also running a new scheme with Jeff Hafley coming to town, and he is a single high safety guy from Boston. Single high safety guy, that rhymes, from Boston College. This is not a team you want to play single high safeties against with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The Eagles carved that up over the last 2 years when those 2 guys have been in the lineup. So I went with the Packers plus 2.5. I think the Eagles are going to succeed this year. I actually have these 2 teams as the number 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC this year. So I think these are 2 of the best teams in the conference. I think it's a slight edge to the Packers. I predicted 34-31 on my Eagles-Packers preview, so I'm going to stick with that here. So I don't have a lock with, so I don't love it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I went Packers plus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm right on board with you with it being a high-scoring affair. I actually probably like the total of over 49 more than a spread pick. I'm with you on Green Bay plus 2.5, but I didn't like the over enough for it to make one of my 3 locks. I also was close to sprinkling on Saquon Barkley over 64.5 rushing yards. I think he's the new toy, right? I think Philly's going to be so excited to use this guy. I think he's going to get a higher volume than people are anticipating. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed, but let's be real. Until I see the Green Bay Packers stop the run, it's death taxes, and the Packers can't stop the run. There's 3 constants, and I think that Barkley's going to get a heavy workload, specifically early, just because he's the shiny new toy, and Sirianni's going to want to use him as much as possible. Didn't make my 3 locks, but I'll be on Green Bay plus 2.5, over 49, and Barkley over 64.5 rush yards. Like, for example, Isaiah Pacheco tonight, it's a Thursday nighter, and his line is sitting at 60, and that's going up against a Baltimore front 7, which I like a lot more than this Green Bay front 7.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in the fact I love the Eagles O-line still. I think 64.5 for Barkley is a little too low.
Interesting. I didn't even look at Barkley's totals. I can't wait for that first 10-yard run from Barkley. Shit's going to hit like absolute crack to me. Eagles are 3-0 under Sirianni in week 1, so if you're looking for a little bit of excitement there, that is that. But this is a stat that really caught my eye. The Packers were first in EPA per play on throws of 1 to 10 yards last year. Warren, do you take a guess where the Eagles defense ranked on throws 1 to 10?
I'm going to guess near the bottom.
Oh, it's 32nd, baby. So it's one side against the other. And I know it's a new coordinator, and I get that, but I think they're going to attack this Eagles secondary. I just think it's going to be too much. But again, Eagles fans, don't harp on me. I think we go on a roll after this. It's just week 1. Yeah. I just think this is a really hard opponent to play week 1. All right, next up, we're going right into your team here, Warrensy. We're going Titans at Bears. The Bears are 3.5-point favorites in week 1. Who would have thought that? I'll just pass the ball to you, Wardsy. I can't wait to watch this game. I'm assuming you're in the same boat.
Oh boy, am I excited. And something that caught my eye, I guess when I was doing my research, the Bears were still 4-point favorites. I guess it's dropped to 3.5, so I don't know if this stat still applies. But 4-point favorite would be the highest spread for a rookie quarterback making his first ever start since Terry Bradshaw in 1970. So there's high pressure on Caleb right out of the gate. And I hate saying this because I'm obviously going to be rooting for my Bears, but I think this number is a little too high. I would have loved this against the Titans last year because I think they had a lot of holes in their secondary and the Bears wide receivers could exploit that. But the Titans did a good job of shoring up their secondary, bringing in L'Jarius Sneed and Awuzie. So as long as Awuzie is healthy, which he is right now, I think the Titans have a pretty strong secondary. So I think this game is going to be a grind. I think everybody's going to be excited to see Caleb Williams in this offense with the offensive weapons, but I kind of see a low-scaring, grinded-out football game, which unfortunately makes me lean taking the Titans and the points.
Oh, what? Are you serious? You're not gonna ride with your boys with Caleb to start the year?
First ever start in the NFL to be a favorite. We're going to be talking about multiple rookie quarterbacks making their first ever start this week, and I got to be consistent with it where it's a tough ask, and this did not make any of my 3 locks, guaranteed for that. But if I won't be betting this game, but if I had to, gun to my head, I think I'd be leaning Titans +4 or +3.5, and I'd be leaning the under 44.
Okay, so I had 4 locks kind of going into today. I had to narrow it down. This was one that I took off, so I wish I didn't. I wish I stuck with it just to kind of stick it to you. I like the Bears -3.5 in this spot. I think a lot of what people are a lot underrating is the Bears defense this season. Like, they were really darn good down the stretch last year. They were 9th in success rate from week 9 on, 6th in EPA per drive. This is a completely new offense for Tennessee and Brian Callahan. They also have Bill Callahan. I always forget there's a dad and the son on the coaching staff. But Brian Callahan's offense is a whole new scheme. It's completely different from whatever Tennessee's used to. So I actually do think that the Bears' defense is like the most secure unit in this game. And I'm just on board with Caleb. I think he's going to play very well in his rookie debut. And can I interest you in a Caleb Williams anytime touchdown +360? Because that will be bet on by me week 1.
Ooh, I like where your head's at. And you're right. I guess out of these 4 units, which unit do I feel the most confident? It would be the Bears defense.
Exactly, yeah.
I think that their secondary is really sneaky. They're not getting a lot of love across the mainstream media. but I think it's deep, and I like the guys all across the board. So it doesn't matter to me that they have DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley and multiple options for Tennessee, because I do think the Bears secondary can hold it. And I guess that's why I have a stronger feeling on the under than the spread in this game. I think it's going to be a greasy game, and people are going to overreact to maybe Caleb Williams not having the greatest first performance. But I'm just hoping for the Bears W. I don't care if they don't cover. Just get me a W and get out of there.
I am working the 1 o'clock games at the Score, and this is the game that I will be focused on the most. I can't wait to watch a Bears Titans. Imagine telling me that a little more than 365 days ago. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. All right, next up, Steelers at Falcons. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 3.5-point underdogs on the road. It's the Arthur Smith, revenge game. Warrensy, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, that's the angle I've written down here, is Arthur Smith revenge game. I mean...
Did you actually write that down, or are you just fucking around?
No, it is. I mean, he was the head coach of this team for 3 years. Yeah. He's got to know something about the team. I know it's a completely different quarterback, so I don't know how much he can help the Steelers defense prepare, but I think he should have a good idea of what he's going up against with this Atlanta Falcons defense. Problem is, this game is really hard to handicap because we just got news a few hours ago that Russell Wilson's calf injury hasn't healed as quickly as anticipated, and right now I'm on Falcons -3.5. If Russell Wilson starts this game and is deemed maybe not to be 100%, that's a hammer play for me. Going up against a banged up Russell Wilson, give me that. If it goes to Justin Fields and he starts, I probably wouldn't bet this game personally with actual money. But Mike Tomlin as an underdog, he's 58-34 against the spread as a dog. It will always scare me to bet against him as a dog, but I am a hard fade on this Steelers team this season. I think that they're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole right now, and I don't like a lot of what I see on this offensive side of the ball. So I'll be looking to fade the Steelers hard this year. I'm just not sure if this is the week for it because we don't even know if it's Wilson starting.
Yeah, this is the game I had the least confidence in. I put Steelers +3.5. It's going to be my pick for the show, but I don't love it. This is a funny one. So Russell Wilson in week 1 from 2019 to 2023, he's actually been really damn good, Warrensy. 77% completion percentage. He's averaged 260 passing yards per game, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 130 passer rating. So for some reason, over the last few years, Russell Wilson excels in week 1, and then it's kind of fallen off since. But I'm with you. Without knowing if he's going to play, if his calf injury is big or not. I saw Chase Daniel, a former quarterback, come out and tweet and say, like, as a quarterback, a calf injury is like one of the worst things to have because you're pushing off of it when you're backpedaling out of your drops and whatnot. So this is an ugly, gross game. I just picked the Steelers. I'm just going to take the points, like you said, because of Tomlin and the underdog.
I also just really want to see what this Falcons defense looks like with Matthew Judon rushing the passer, because for years they've lacked the pass rush, and that's been kind of an angle when betting Falcons games, is if they're facing a good O-line, fade the Falcons. But now that you throw Judon into that mix, maybe that pass rush isn't bottom of the barrel. So and with the offense of the Falcons with Kirk Cousins, there's a lot I got to see before I bet on or against the Falcons.
So are you taking, which is your pick here?
I'm going to take Falcons -3.5 for the sake of the show. But like you, I'm not. This is a weird game for me.
All right, next up, the Miami. Actually, I guess not the Miami showdown. The Florida showdown, and it includes the Miami Dolphins hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 3.5-point favorites. This is Warrensy's team this year, guys. Warrensy is a big Dolphins fan this year. He's all on board the Tua train. He is the leader of 2-and-on. Do you have the Dolphins as one of your locks this week?
I have the Dolphins as my spread pick. But one of my locks this week is going to be the over in this game, over 49. And it's because I am a little skeptical about the Miami defense as a whole. But why am I a Miami believer and a member of 2-and-on? It's because I think this offense is going to roll. But specifically in this matchup, you need to look at the weather. When Miami is playing at home, you really, really got to factor in the weather because of their stadium design. The Miami bench is in shade. It's very cool. The other side of the field, complete sunlight. They're calling for extreme heat, some humidity. It's going to feel like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. McDaniel, in his career as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, he's 15-1 straight up when the weather is over 75 degrees. When the weather is 72 or less, he's 5-15. So right there, I'm normally not a trend guy. Normally not a trend guy, but when the weather gets hot, Mike McDaniel and this Miami offense really tends to have success. And if you look in the past, Miami's success really does start at the beginning of the season when it's hot. So I know Jacksonville is a warm weather team, but they're going to be in their dark jerseys in that 100-degree weather. And I think Miami's offense has green lights all over the place. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville's a team I'm looking to fade most of this season. I think they'll beat the teams they should beat, but struggle against the upper echelon teams. And when Miami's at home with the weather on their side, I think that's too much for the Jags to handle. Give me the Miami Dolphins -3.5, but my first lock of the year is going to be over 49.
There it is. The virginity is taken. We got a lock on the board. I love that stat with Mike McDaniel, just the Dolphins and the weather. I have the Dolphins are 3-0 under McDaniel in September at home. This is a team that really does well to start at the gate. One, Mike McDaniel is very good at designing new stuff, creative plays during the offseason. Like, this is a guy that's going to throw a ton at Ryan Nielsen and Jacksonville's new defense.
That's another factor, right? Because there's another defense that is changing scheme completely. Mm-hmm. They're going to a much more aggressive man.
They love their man. Yeah, the Falcons played just fuck you man coverage last year under Nielsen, and good luck doing that against Tyreek Hill. So
right, when Tyreek Hill is fully healthy and not banged up or dealing with a little bit of a hammy, I think that's a recipe for disaster. This couldn't be a worse matchup for the Jags' new defensive scheme.
Yeah, I have the Dolphins -3.5, but it's not one of my locks. I just didn't make it, but I do think this is a Miami green light, like you said. All right, best game of the week, of course, is the Patriots at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are now 8.5-point favorites. The line is dropping a little bit here. It was at 9 earlier in the week. I don't know if you saw this, but Joe Burrow made the injury report yesterday. He has a hand, like his hand is still bothering him. He's been throwing with a glove on, glove off. Bengals reporters are kind of going like, what's going on here? He was a full participant, but it's something to monitor. Like, he's still going through the process of the offseason hand surgery. It looks like it's still lingering around a little bit. Jamar Chase has been at practice. It looks like he's going to be a full go for week 1. Warrensy, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, Jamar Chase coming back. Normally I would kind of put an asterisk beside that, say, hey, he hasn't practiced all training camp and stuff, but him and Joe Burrow
it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the rare exceptions where missing training camp I don't look too heavily into. New England, they're going to be a team I fade all year, and I have them on paper as having the worst trenches in the NFL. That's offensive line and defensive line. I have them as the worst offensive line in football and a bottom 5 defensive line. And this week you throw on Christian Barmore is out. He's really their only horse on the defensive line. So until I see New England do anything, I'm going to be fading them specifically because of their trenches. 8.5 is a lot of points. I won't be betting it, but I'm still going to take Cincinnati for the sake of the show. Do you feel comfortable in Survivor going Bengals?
I don't. I was looking at it like that's the biggest spread of the week. So if you're just going off of what Vegas tells you, they're saying take the Bengals and Survivor. There's a couple things here that worried me for the Bengals. One, I need to see the run defense before I believe it. They got gashed on the run on all last year. They were one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And there's a scenario here where the Patriots muck this game up. They run the ball well. The Bengals didn't really do much to fix that run defense either. The 28th in success rate last year, 26 in EPA, and Burrow's still dealing with that hand issue. I want to see him kind of grip it and rip it first. So this is not going to be my Survivor pick. I have 4. Maybe they make one of them because I've got 4 picks across Survivor pool. So maybe it's one, but I wouldn't recommend it. There's another one that I would recommend. But I'm gonna take the Patriots actually plus 8.5 for the show. I think the Bengals win this game. I think they win by a touchdown. I think 8.5 is a little too much. There's just some underlying issues with the Cincinnati I want to see before I kind of say they're going to blow the Patriots out.
Yeah, and I mean, in years previous, Joe Burrow hasn't had training camps, but if you remember last year, they got completely blown out week 1. The year prior, they lost as a touchdown favorite. That was a divisional game against the Steelers. So it's not out of the Bengals' character to start slow. I'm just hoping that this being Joe Burrow's first real training camp in his career, which is crazy to say, but it is his first full real training camp, that maybe they don't start slow this year. But again, I'm not going to be betting Bengals minus 8.5, but for the sake of the show, I'm fading the Patriots more than I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah, 6 wins, Warnsey. It's happening.
My God.
All right. Arizona Cardinals at Buffalo Bills. The Cardinals are 6.5-point dogs. And this one, easily one of my favorite games of the week. I can't wait to watch Kyler Murray return with this Cardinals offense. I have been vocal on the show about me being a kind of a Cardinals dark horse lover this year. Of course, Josh Allen's playing. I can't wait to watch what their new kind of reworked offense looks like. I think the Cardinals are going to try to run the ball down the Bills' throat. That's the way I look at this. If you look at last year, the Cardinals were second in EPA per rush down the stretch with Kyler Murray. So when Kyler was healthy, they were second EPA per rush. Sorry. I think Trey Benson's going to see some touches early on. Their new running back they drafted. Their offensive line's mental maul. The Bills' defense, like when you watch Bills games when they lose, it's because they can't stop the run. They were 24th in EP per rush all last year as well. So I think this is going to be a ground and pound style game on both sides. I like the Cardinals plus 6.5. I think the Bills win, but I think the Cardinals can backdoor cover this. I think 6.5 is just too many points.
I'm right there with you. I think 6.5 is too many, and I would label this as my Survivor Trap game of the week. I think this will be a popular Survivor pick, but I'm with you in your offseason take that the Cardinals have a really sneaky offense this year. I think just adding Marvin Harrison Jr. really gives Kyler Murray a true weapon on the outside. I think this O-line is sneaky. I think it could be an above-average unit. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'd have to see this Bills offense without Diggs. It's been a really, really popular offseason narrative that the Bills will be fine without Diggs. I got to see it first. I mean, you're replacing Diggs and Gabe Davis with Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman. I don't know if that starts right away. I don't know if week one out of the gate Keon Coleman is popping. And I mean, this is year 8 for Curtis Samuel. We've been waiting for his breakout. Maybe it does come in year 8, but I've never seen a guy get so many damn chances. Here's another one. But I got.
And he's healthy. He's healthy too. He was on the injury report. Looks like he wasn't going to play. He's going to suit up. So all the horses Howland got like available to him are going to play. The Bills are my Super Bowl pick. I submitted my picks. I have the Bills beating the Packers in the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be a very damn good team this year. So don't get me wrong. But I just think I think the Cardinals are also good. Like I just think 6.5 week one. I think it's kind of a nice matchup for the Cardinals running game. So we're both on the 6.5 there. It's not one of your locks. It's not one of my locks, but I just like it.
No, and I mean Arizona's defense last year, bottom of the barrel in a lot of categories. But one of those categories was injuries. They had the second most injuries in the NFL. And I don't love Jonathan Gannon's scheme. I think one of his biggest weaknesses against really good quarterbacks, he tends to struggle because he plays a kind of a soft zone shell type scheme, and the good quarterbacks can just dink and dunk and take advantage of that all day. But he had so many injuries last year, it's hard to really know if his scheme just isn't any good or if his talent was just that deficient last year. And I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I agree with you. It will be run heavy. That's why I don't really want to take the over, but I could see totals at 47. I could see like a Bills 23-20 type game. Whoever has the ball last kind of tends to win those types of games. And so give me the points plus 6.5 in that spot.
If you want to see Jonathan Gannon's scheme in full force, go watch Super Bowl in the 2002 year. Yeah. Go, that's right there for you, Ornsey, if you want to go figure that one out. Okay, next up, we got the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. The Houston Texans are right now 2.5 point favorites on the road, so they're a little bit of a road favorite here. This is a very fun game. This is one of my favorite games of the week. I'm very curious to see how Anthony Richardson looks. I can't wait to watch this new Texans team. They're one of the most fun teams in the league. I'll pass the ball to you, Warnsey. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the line that most people, when they first look, are like, wait, Houston's favored by less than a field goal? But I think that line is kind of sneaky right. I think there is a little something fishy there, but there is something right. I think Houston has green lights all over the field when they're passing the ball. I would love to attack wide receiver props in a matchup like this, but I don't know who to pick between Diggs, Dell, Collins. I think all three have green lights, and there might be too many mouths to feed to really circle in on one prop. But on the other side of the ball, you look at this Indianapolis offense, and I have no idea what to expect from Anthony Richardson. He really is one of the true wild cards going into this year, and we need more data before we can really get a feel on him. I noticed when we were doing our fantasy draft last night, Yahoo has him projected at 3,500 pass yards. He doesn't have that in his last 4 years, including his 3 college seasons. And
maybe back to Pop Warner football when he was a kid. Who knows when he was throwing it?
But over his last 4 seasons, I know that only includes 4 games last year, he has just under 3,500 pass yards. So just to assume that he's going to be able to throw the ball this season and have success, I think that's a really, really tall ask of a guy. But on the other side, the dynamic run game with Richardson and Taylor as a two-headed monster is a nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators. Now, that being said, how often is Shane Steichen going to let Anthony Richardson run? We saw it last year. He got hurt. He played 4 games, but he got hurt in almost every game he started. So I don't know if you can be running Anthony Richardson 10 to 15 times per game. Maybe because this is a division game, they do run him more than they would in other games, but I really need to see how this Indianapolis offense looks this season before I can put my stamp and bet on or against them with confidence. So for the sake of the show, I'm going Houston minus 2.5 because of their wide receiver green lights all over the field. But I think this is going to be a very high public bet, Houston minus 2.5, and it's not going to be a comfortable game.
All right, well, I'm going to hop on board with the public here. This is my first lock of the week. I'm taking the Houston Texans minus 2.5, and this is one of my favorite bets. You just said you don't know which wide receiver to take. Can I interest you in a Nico Collins against the Indianapolis Colts last season? In 2 games, he caught 16 catches on 18 targets for 341 yards and 2 touchdowns. He just fucking rolled over the Colts last season. So I'm taking him anytime touchdown plus 160. I think he's going to be a monster in this one. I think people are forgetting how good Nico Collins is and just like focusing on Diggs. I think Nico's still going to be the number 1 target in Houston. I think he's the guy to focus on if you're looking for Houston Texans prop bets or passing bets throughout the year. You brought up the Richardson and Jonathan Taylor run game. I get that. I think it's very dynamic. The Houston Texans were first in rush success rate last season. If there's a team to stop the run, it's the Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson's first game back against DeMeco Ryans defense. Miss me with that. I think he's going to struggle week 1. I did not like what I saw in preseason. I need to see it before I can believe it. I think minus 2.5 is a great spot. You just need to win by a field goal. CJ Stroud slanging that thing around. I'm all on board. I'll give me the Texans, Warrensy, week 1 for my first lock.
I don't mind it. I mean, there's a chance at the end of this year we look at CJ Stroud and he's in that class of CJ Stroud less than a field goal. Give it to me. Or
yeah.
I'm not betting against CJ Stroud. I think there is a real chance this early in his career he reaches that status, and we could look back and say, wow, he was less than a field goal favorite. Why didn't I jump on that, even though you are?
All right, this one's got to be your favorite game of the week. The Carolina Panthers head on the road to the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are 3.5-point favorites. Warrensy's boy, Bryce Young, against his other boy, Derek Carr. Talk to me, baby. What do you like about this one?
This is my favorite pick of the week. I don't think you're going to believe who I'm on, though.
Oh, my God. Are you taking the Carolina Panthers spread?
I sure am. I right now have the Carolina Panthers priced as I have them as the most mispriced team in the market. I think if you ask 10 random NFL fans who's the worst team in the league, you'd get over 60% saying the Carolina Panthers. And I just don't believe that. You can come at me and say that they way overspent on 2 guards this offseason, you'd be correct. But guess what? They're improvements. And Bryce Young really, really struggled with pressure up the middle last season. Just adding those 2 guards and Robert Hunt and why am I blanking on the Seahawks guy?
Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis, yes. Those 2 guards I think are really going to complement this offensive line that has sneaky tackles in Taylor Moton and Ike Ekwonu. So I think this offensive line goes from a bottom 5 unit to a top half of the league unit. And I'm fading this New Orleans Saints team starting. Dennis Allen, he's 7-15 against the spread as a favorite. And I think this is another game where the common fan looks at the spreads and goes, wait, New Orleans only 3.5 against Carolina? I think these 2 teams are even. I don't view a huge gap between these teams, so I'm getting more than a field goal. And I think Deontay Johnson is a huge addition for Bryce Young. He got the 2 guards and his new toy on the outside. I'm on the Carolina Panthers plus 3.5.
This is why you're one of my favorite humans in the world. I just never know what I'm going to get from you, bud. Just the Panthers spread pick as a lock at the game. I love it. All right, question for you. We both love football. We both know depth charts pretty well. Name me the pass rusher outside of Jadeveon Clowney week 1 for the Panthers.
On the edge, because they got Brown on the inside, but I don't know who's across. I put it this way. Just Yetur Gross-Matos not being on the field is an upgrade over whoever it is.
I was laughing my head off today when I was looking at the Panthers depth chart going, who's going to run? They got a guy named DJ Johnson, who's an undrafted rookie. Uka Leota, he's an undrafted rookie from last year. DJ Wanham's out for this game. Amari Barno's out for this game. Raekwon Williams is out for this game. Papa Amuve's out for this game. Those guys I somewhat know. Like Papa Amuve's got some juice. But they're going to undrafted free agents here. This is the weakest edge rushing depth chart right now in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to take a team to beat the Saints, they have to get after the quarterback because we know Derek Carr struggles under pressure. We know that's kind of his weakness. His pressure to not getting pressure stats are widely different. So I'm taking the Saints minus 3.5 strictly because of that. I don't have a great read on this one. I'm not going to say I love it, but I just think Derek Carr is going to be able to stand up and do whatever he wants. And I actually do. I picked the Saints to win the NFC South, so I got to stick with my guns here a little bit. And I just think 3.5, it's going to win by 4. And I think they're a little bit better than Carolina. I'm not with you there that they're at the same kind of level all year.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to watching the number 1 wide receivers versus the number 1 cornerbacks in this game. You got Deontay Johnson going up against Lattimore, and you got Olave going up against J.C. Horn. I think those are going to be good matchups. Could go either way, but I think the Panthers' still biggest weakness, I know you mentioned the edge rushing, it's stopping the run. Saints can't run the ball for shit. Alvin Kamara's longest run last year was 17 yards. He has negative juice.
So washed.
He's this year's Austin Eckler. I know we were laughing about that at the fantasy draft last night, but I think Alvin Kamara is going to be the guy that you're like, wait, does that guy have a 30-pound vest on? Why is he so slow? And I just got a gut feeling about this Carolina Panthers team this year being better than what the public thinks. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? No, I'm not going there. But I think that they are the team that is most mispriced based on what the market thinks of them.
All right, I can dig it. I like it. Great content you take in the Panthers because you've always been a big Bryce Young guy. Minnesota Vikings on the road against the New York Giants to finish up the 1:00 slate. The Vikings are road favorites by 1.5. Just the juiciest quarterback matchup you can possibly have. Sam Darnold making his Vikings debut against Danny Dimes, looking to resurrect his career. One thing that I found interesting about this one, and I think this is actually a very tough defensive front for Darnold to go against week 1. The Giants have some bulls at the front of their D line. You got Brian Burns making his Giants debut, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. So not an easy team. I know the Giants I have the Giants having the first overall pick this year. Same. I think they're going to be one of the worst team in the league, but their D line could get after you. So we'll see how Darnold's going to have a little bit of pressure on him. I don't know. I'm fascinated to see how Darnold looks in Minnesota. I don't think it's going to look good, but there's a lot of people calling for Darnold to resurrect his career and sign a big contract. He's back. Miss me with that. That's what I think, but we'll see. What do you make of this one?
I have Kevin O'Connell as, I wouldn't say an elite offensive mind. I guess I'd put him in that tier just under elite because of what he did last year with Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs. I know the season-long metrics don't look great, but when you remove turnovers from those 2 quarterbacks, they were actually league average guys, and we both know those are well below league average quarterbacks. I do agree with you that the Giants front 7 should have the matchup edge, but I do like the Vikings tackles.
They do. The Vikings have a solid outside offensive line. 2 of the better tackles in the league.
Dexter Lawrence scares the shit out of me on the inside. I think he has a green light all day.
I can't believe they're still doing the Bradbury thing, man.
I know. But I think a brighter green light would be Justin Jefferson and Addison on the outside. I think the Giants have the worst secondary in the league. I can buy that their D-line is pretty formidable, but that secondary is as bad of a secondary as I can remember heading into week 1. They just signed a Dory Jackson 2 days ago. did they not watch him last year? And the fact that nobody signed him, like, there's a reason nobody signed him up until now. And for the Giants to be the team to go back to him, I don't know. Like, and sounds like he's starting. And they signed him 2 days ago. That's how worried they are about their secondary out of the gate. And you got Justin Jefferson coming out of the gate. So I didn't lock any of them in, but Jefferson touchdown at plus 120. His yards are at 81.5. I think I like Addison's number at 43.5, a little bit more. That almost made my card. Vikings minus 1.5 is what I'll be taking for the show, but I think I do like Addison over 43.5. That probably would have been my fourth pick if we had to go to 4. But I just like the matchup for the Vikings wide receivers more than I guess I like the Giants matchup of their D-line.
Mm-hmm. I think this game is going to come down to just like which quarterback doesn't make the dumber mistakes. Just like hold on to the ball, let your running backs work, and kind of just don't be dumb. And I think Daniel Jones will be dumber in this game. I don't think dumber's a word, but I have the Vikings minus 1.5. I don't love it either on this one. All right, that's the 1 o'clock slate. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to finish off the 4 o'clock slate and the night games.
The Double Doink Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is hard. It's especially hard when you don't have someone you can open up to. Not everyone is comfortable talking to their friends and family about their personal matters or anything that is bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is so important to continued success in this world. Therapy is a great way to regroup and get everything off your chest. Insert BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy service, 100% online. They will match you with professional licensed therapists you can trust. You can talk with your therapist however you see fit, via text, phone call, or video chat. BetterHelp has successfully helped over 4 million people worldwide deal with their day-to-day mental health issues. Use the link in the podcast description to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.
And we're back on the Double Doink Podcast, finishing up the week 1 slate. 4 o'clock games coming your way. Come on down. The Denver Broncos at the Seattle Seahawks. Bo Nix, welcome to the NFL. And you got to play the best defensive mind in the game and Mike McDonald. Are you confident in your boy, Bo Nix, leading the Broncos to a little upset victory here? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I was a big Bo Nix detractor during draft time. I wasn't a Bo Nix believer, but he's definitely starting to win me over with how he looked in the preseason. He definitely did look better than I expected. I do think a large part of that was because Sean Payton really drew up game plans for him in preseason to try to help his confidence, which is something coaches never do. So Mike McDonald might actually have a taste of what the Broncos are going to try to do, which is a little bit rare for week 1 because coaches generally don't give away any tips or secrets in week 1. But I also see what Sean Payton was doing, trying to get Bo Nix a little bit of confidence. But Sean Payton, historically, this blew my mind. In weeks 1 and 2 over the last decade, he is 3-17 against the spread. He is a very, very slow starter, and I don't know why that would change this year. This is a really ugly game to me. This was one of the hardest picks of the week for me, I thought, because laying 6 with Geno Smith doesn't really excite me too much.
Hey now.
But I'm definitely not backing a rookie quarterback making his first ever start on the road in a hostile environment like Seattle. So this game honestly threw me in a complete blender. I'd love to know where you're at.
Well, I'm on the complete opposite end. This was my favorite pick of the week. I am fading Bo Nix in his first start. Give me the Seahawks minus 5.5. It's my lock. And if I was to make a survivor pick, this would be the one. I think the Broncos, like the only way to beat the Broncos or the Seahawks, in my opinion, is to get explosive plays. And I don't see how they're going to do that. Like, I think the Seahawks offense is going to be very good in this game and the season. And Bo Nix and the Broncos offense just doesn't do that. The Broncos threw the running backs on 32% of their plays last year. By far the most in the NFL. There was no team at 24%. Like this, they like to dink and dunk their way down the field. I don't think Bo Nix is going to have like a big leash where he's going to be able to air it out. Mike McDonald is not the guy you want to see as if you're a rookie quarterback week 1. I think the Broncos defense isn't very good either. Like there's some talent there, but let's remember they got 70 burgered by the Dolphins last year. They got like Zach Wilson and the Jets ran up the score on them. Justin Fields and the Bears plastered them. Like there is some bad Broncos defensive games. I think the Seahawks roll. I think this is the biggest blowout of the week. Give me those Seahawks all day. I was liking DK Metcalf plus 150. I like me some Jackson Smith the Jigba plus 240 to score. I think Gino's gonna ball out, and I like the Hawks in this one.
All right, yeah, you talked me into it, so I'll take Seahawks -6 for the sake of the show then. It does worry me a little bit that top pass rusher Uchenna Nwosu will be out for Seattle, but you're right. A rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, going into Seattle, that's such a tough ask for your first ever start. That building is going to be rocking, and then you throw in a great defensive mind on top of it. I am not a Sean Payton believer. Even before I saw those stats about how slow he starts historically, I just don't believe in Sean Payton's offenses anymore without Drew Brees, and I don't think Bo Nix is going to be Drew Brees. So I'll lock in Seattle -6 with you. Not one of my locks, but I will take it.
Nice. All right, we're riding the 12th man this week. All right, Dallas Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 2.5-point favorites, or the Browns are 2.5-point favorites. Sorry, over the Cowboys. I just said welcome to the NFL, Bo Nix. Here's Mike McDonald. Hey, Tyler Guyton, welcome to the NFL. Here's Myles Garrett for you. So, not the most ideal start if you want to start your career as a left tackle in the NFL, having to play the best defensive player arguably in the league. I think this is a really cool matchup. Warnsy, what you got?
Well, these are two teams I wish were not playing each other because I kind of want to fade them both. I don't have a great feel on the Browns going into this season. It really, really feels like Deshaun Watson is there because of his contract, and I don't think anybody in the building believes in him or wants him to be the guy, but ownership is just forcing him down their throats. And there was reports coming out this week that Deshaun Watson was dealing with arm fatigue. We haven't even played it yet. Like, what do you mean you got arm fatigue? Like, that can't be happening. And I kind of like this matchup for the Browns offense going against this Dallas defense, which I don't believe in this year, especially with Bland being lost for the season. I don't like what
he's not lost for the season. He's on IR for a bit.
Okay, but he's at least till Christmas? Or
he's gonna miss at least the first 4 weeks.
Okay, but I really wish I could bet Cleveland in this spot, but I can't bet on Deshaun Watson. I gotta see something before I do it, but I think league average play is now his ceiling, which is disgusting to think about, but that's what it is. But I'm with you. Cleveland could win this game with their defense because not only does Myles Garrett have a green light matchup against Guyton, who is a left tackle who, coming out of the draft, a lot of people said needs a year to sit on the bench, but hey, they're throwing him to the fire. I think Denzel Ward has a chance at shutting down CeeDee Lamb. He's one of the better cover corner guys in the league. He should be matched up, follow Lamb wherever he goes, and the book on Ward is when he's healthy, he's great, and right now he's healthy. So I lean Cleveland -2.5, but I won't be betting it.
Yeah, I have the Browns -2.5. This is one of the games, like, outside of Steelers Falcons, is probably my least favorite one to dissect. Dak, what I found interesting is Dak destroys single coverage, and the Browns play a ton of it. This is the Jim Short style defense, 4 rushers, single coverage, man-to-man. He was first in paper play, second in success rate. This is his style of defense you like to go at. However, they have Denzel Ward. They've got good cornerbacks. They got Myles Garrett. Like, just because you like to attack a scheme doesn't mean you like to attack the players. So I'm staying far away from this one.
Yeah, both teams I'll be looking to fade down the road. I wish they weren't playing each other week 1.
All right, Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, make your debut. Welcome to the NFL. Here's Todd Bowles for you. He absolutely loves to destroy rookie quarterbacks. Todd Bowles in his career, 10-4 against rookies. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. We're at the top. We were talking like there's some games that I like, that I don't like. That this one looks shitty on paper, but I'm fascinated to see Jaden Daniels in his debut. I think this is a really interesting one for me because I can't wait to see him in the NFL. He's a Heisman winner, fun player. So what do you make of this one?
Yeah, you took my Todd Bowles stat. That's the reason I have Buccaneers -3.5. It's not going to be one of my locks, but I feel pretty confident in this game. And I guess I'm in the minority on Jaden Daniels. I understand he's a hell of an athlete and he's great, but just looking at the way Washington is built right now, this is a bottom 5 O-line. Jaden Daniels, the book on him, one of his weaknesses is probably holding on to the ball a little bit too long. With this O-line, I don't care what the pass rush is. I know that the Bucks don't have an elite pass rush, but I don't think it matters with how bad this Washington O-line is. I think he's going to be under pressure. And if he's not getting rid of the ball quickly, it's going to be good night. So especially a rookie making his first start going against a really good defensive mind in Todd Bowles, I'm on the Buccaneers 3.5. It was very close to making one of my locks.
Yeah, I'm on the Bucks. I'm on the Bucks minus 3.5 too. I think it's a very tough team or tough defense to play against. He's also good, like not just against rookies, scrambling quarterbacks too. Like you saw, Jalen Hurts has been in hell against him.
Yeah, I wonder if the loss of Devin White will affect that, because he is a big factor in the running quarterbacks. That's probably his only attribute left. But I do expect Jaden Daniels not to be able to have success running the ball or throwing.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are like, I almost picked them to win the NFC South. I think they're a sneaky team that's not getting talked about enough. Like they were in the divisional round last year. You know what I mean?
I think they'll beat the teams they should beat, and Washington is a team that they should beat.
Mm-hmm. The only way they're going to be able to win this one is get the ball out quick, throw it early, kind of get yourself into second short situations, and I don't think the Commanders offense can be able to do that. All right, last 4:00 game, Las Vegas Raiders on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers. This spread has dropped to -3. It's been fluttering from 3.5 to 3. Jim Harbaugh, welcome back to the NFL, baby. I can't wait to see what the Chargers team looks like this year. Warrensy, what do you make of Harbaugh back?
This is an ugly game to me. I don't like either of these teams. These will, again, be two teams I look to fade throughout the year. Personally, I'm not buying this Vegas defense that everybody's kind of been hyping up over the offseason. Last year was the first year in 15 years that their defense was in the top half of the league in DVOA. This has been a historically awful defense. The year that they become a top half of the league unit, they just happened to play 7 backup quarterbacks last year. Over a third of their schedule, they played a backup quarterback. Justin Herbert on the other side here is not a backup quarterback, but his hands are tied because I don't see where the ball goes to. The weapons are really, really lacking in Los Angeles. I think it's going to be a very run-heavy scheme. So going forward, when Vegas plays teams with an offense that I think is competent, I will be fading Vegas hard. This unfortunately isn't one of those weeks. And on the other side of things, I can't bet the Chargers right now. I really got to see what this team looks like with Harbaugh. I don't believe in it. I think that this is a 2-year project. I really like where it's heading. I love the draft pick of Joe Alt starting in the trenches, but I need to see some weapons for Herbert before I can believe in this offense, because I think it's 8-man boxes, 7-man boxes all day, and I don't think Ladd McConkey and Will Dissly are going to be beating guys down the field.
Who's the better quarterback, Justin Herbert or Gardner Minshew?
That's pretty obvious, Brendan.
I'm all on board with the Chargers in this game. I think the spread is too low. This is my last lock. The Raiders, you brought up the defense. If you take a look at the quarterbacks they face down the stretch, you got Nick Mullins, Jarrett Stidham, Gardner Minshew, Easton Stick, Tommy DeVito, Zach Wilson. Like those were 5 of the 6. Those 6 quarterbacks. Those are the 5 of the wins that they got. Like this is a team that just beat up on garbage. And I get the Christian Wilkins ad. I like that addition. He's a very good player, but I think they're going to struggle to kind of recreate the success that they had down the stretch against better quarterbacks this year. The Las Vegas Raiders defense also struggled on short throws from 1 to 10 yards, 26 in EPA, 29th in success rate. So you just said the weapons are lacking. Just dink and dunk your way down the field. I think the Chargers run game is going to be very good this year. I think they're going to be able to move guys off the line. I think the Chargers are in a great spot in this one. Also, I think the boys are just going to play hard for Jim Harbaugh week 1. I just think they're going to ride for him. I think this is a great team to kind of go against week 1. And here's a bet that I really like too. Gus Edwards plus 230 to score a touchdown. He had 13 of those bad boys last year. 13, and you're getting him at plus 230. I don't know. I thought that was a little bit of a weird one. I'm going to be betting that one. My last lock, Chargers -3.
Okay, nice. I have Chargers -3 for the sake of the show. I don't like it enough to bet it, but you definitely won me over, and I'm feeling better about the Chargers than I did going into it.
Like Herbert to Minshew. Like, that's why I asked the question. All you got to do is win by 3 points. Come on now. Come on. Don't overthink this one. All right. Night games. The Sunday night. Absolute banger. Love this one. The Los Angeles Rams on the road against the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford returns to town. You were a big Detroit Lions guy this year. I'm assuming you're going to be riding them in this game.
Yeah, I got one lock left, and you you read my mind. Do you know who has the best against the spread record over the last 3 seasons?
I'm assuming it's the Lions, but I could be completely wrong here.
35-16, and that coincides with when Mr. Dan Campbell took over. And this is the perfect storm for me. This Detroit Lions team is a team I'm looking to back this year. The Rams are a team I'm looking to fade. And a main reason for that, especially early in the year before the books adjust. Do you know who number 99 on the Los Angeles Rams for the last decade is?
He's gone, and no one seems to be asking questions about how good this Rams defense is going to be without him.
I have a feeling I know what's going to happen to that defense, because if you take the literal best defensive player I have ever laid my eyes on, and I don't even think it's a question, I know J.J. Watt had a run there about a 3 to 4 year stretch where he was in the argument, but nobody did it for 10 years like Aaron Donald did. And it is single-handedly the biggest loss of any unit on any team this season. Just think of the game plan going into facing the Rams now compared to last year. And coincidentally, these teams played not that long ago. So Ben Johnson has a game plan already that worked pretty well versus the Rams. And now he doesn't have to worry about Aaron Donald. Also, under the radar, I don't know why the Rams traded Ernest Jones. He was their best linebacker by far last year. He was
a monster last year.
Yeah,
he was so good for them in the Super Bowl run too as a rookie. Like that trade made. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just gonna jump in. The Rams vibes are just weird over the last 3 weeks to a month.
I completely agree. Trading Ernest Jones was so out of left field for me. Now they're starting Troy Reeder and Chris Rosenboom at linebacker. Both those guys run 4.7s or worse. Very poor in coverage. Matt Laporta, anybody? I think that's an absolute green light. I love the Detroit Lions. It's absolutely one of my locks. And if you want to look at the Rams on the offensive side of the ball, I'm reading that Jonah Jackson is playing center this week?
So that's what I want to talk about too. I was looking at their depth chart. Jonah Jackson now at center, Steve Avila at guard. Didn't we sign Jonah Jackson, the big contract, to move Steve Avila to center? And Rob Havenstein's also bagged up. He's limited at practice. There are just position by position with the Rams right now. I'm just not feeling the love.
I am not either. So give me the Lions -4. They were number 4 last year in the league EPA per rush defended, and they added DJ Reader. We know that Sean McVay loves to pound the ball, establish the run. That's what really opens up Kupp and Nakua down the field. I don't think that run game is going to get going at all. Just give me Lions -4. I'm all over it.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the Big Cats from Detroit as well in this game, -4.5. I think that's a low number too. -4.5. Like I think this could be a nice 7 touchdown to 10-point win. Now, of course, there's obviously a scenario here where the Lions secondary hasn't been good or hasn't returned or got better. Sorry, like with all the additions that they made, Carlton Davis, who's the Alabama guy? I'm forgetting it right now. Terry Arnold, Terry Arnold, and it's Rakestraw. Yeah, like there's a scenario here where the Rams just air it out. The Lions can't get into pressure, but I don't know. I think you should be comfortable taking the Lions spread here. All right, let's finish it off. Monday Night Football. The New York Jets head down to the San Francisco 49ers. Aaron Rodgers return. It's hilarious to me the NFL did this again to him. Just put him on Monday night after what happened to him. Yeah. I don't know if you saw Leonard Floyd's also on the 49ers warranty. He's the one that sacked Aaron Rodgers and tore his Achilles. So talk to you, warranty. What do you make of this one?
This is a game I got to see, right? The New York Jets offense, we know nothing about it with Aaron Rodgers. We got 4 snaps last year, so that right away makes me lean stay away. For the sake of the show, I'm going to take the points because I'm getting 4.5 with, in my opinion, the better defense. This New York Jets defense is loaded top to bottom. You got playmakers at all 3 levels, which is what you need to go against the San Francisco 49ers. They have so many weapons. They can beat you in many different ways, but the Jets are one of the few defenses that should be able to, on paper, kind of combat those regular advantages that the 49ers have. So I'm taking the 4.5, but I don't feel great about it because who the hell knows what we're getting with this Jets offense.
So the Jets defense, you brought up, they're missing one of their big guys, and it's Hassan Reddick right now. Have you been following this lately? So the Hassan Reddick thing just the Hassan Reddick thing's just getting bizarre, Warrensy. Like, he was at a charity event 2 days ago, and a reporter from the Jets followed him there, Zach Rosenblatt at The Athletic, and like he's like signing autographs there. There's a picture of him like getting shown a magic trick by this guy. Hassan Reddick looks not interested in the magic trick at all. He's just looking at him like, you got a new contract for me? Like, that's all I give a shit about right now. He refuses to comment again. Robert Saleh says he's still saying he has no idea if he's going to play week 1. This is such a big loss if he can't play for them week 1 as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's the 49ers. As an Eagles fan, Hassan Reddick's a game wrecker. He is very darn good. He's their best pass rusher when healthy or when playing suited up with a new contract. So I like the Jets plus 4.5. That's where I would lean. I don't love it, but I'm with you. I take the points. And the 49ers too. Like, I've been kind of, I don't know, ripping them a little bit all offseason in my division preview episode. Like, I'm just not fully sold on them to be the juggernaut that they were last year. So I think this game comes down to the wire, field goal game. So take the points.
Yeah. I mean, we are recording this on Thursday. There is a chance by Monday the Reddick saga has been dealt with, but there is nothing that gives me confidence it will be dealt with. It's been an absolute disaster so far, but maybe hold your nose and maybe something pops up by Monday.
Okay, before we go, Warren, repeat your locks to the listeners.
Alrighty, my 3 locks of week 1. I am going the Carolina Panthers plus 3.5, over 49 in the Jags-Miami game. Lean Miami with the point minus the points in that, but I'll lock in the over as my lock. And then my favorite of the week would be the Detroit Lions minus 4.
All right, so I got the Seattle Seahawks minus 5.5, the Houston Texans minus 2.5, the Los Angeles Chargers minus 3. We're riding the favorites this week. You know, what could go wrong here? What could go wrong? All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to your show. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. If you're listening wherever you get your audio podcast, make sure to leave a review. That really helps us out. And we will talk to you later.